Good morning or good afternoon. Today we are going to go ahead and get started with our calculator skills number 3. So a good way to do these problems is, of course, I do question 1 and then you pause your video and then you try to do question number 2. And then after that, if you're on the right track, then you should get the same answer that I do. If you're not on the right track, then go back and watch question number 1. So I have designed the calculator skills to be that way. So then I do question number 1 and then you can try question number 2. But again, all the answers will be here. So let's go ahead and get started. So today we are going to be talking about tables and of course graphs, linear and quadratic, and identifying exponential, and just about everything in calculators number 3. So given on question number 1, savings account, we have week 0, 1, 2, 3 and balance in dollars. As your savings account increases, it's going to be a positive slope, you can already tell, which is the slope is the rate of change. So first of all, we need to identify what the x value is. The x value is the weeks, and then the balance is your y values. So once again, the x is your domain and the y is your range. So again, we're going to go ahead and figure out what is rate of change is, and do not forget, another rate of change, another word for rate of change is of course slope. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and input this table. We're going to treat it as an x and y ordered pair. So I'm going to get on my Desmos, and you can Google the Desmos graphing calculator, or you can download the app. So let's go ahead and get started. Right here, we're going to click on table, and then I'm going to go ahead and just input the value. When x is 0, y is 16. When x is 1, y is 20. Whoops. When x is 1, y is 20. Forgot to click. When x is 2, y is 24. And when x is 3, y is 28. Then I'm going to press right here where it has a little leaf button. You're going to add regression, and it gives us our linear equation. We can already see our x-intercept being at -4, 0. If I want to find my y-intercept, all I have to do is click, and it is 0, 16. First of all, I'm going to find my slope-intercept form. Right underneath the linear regression, it should give me my y-intercept form, where y equals to positive 4x plus 16. And from what I've learned before is that y equals mx plus b in this format. The m right here next to the x is your slope, so automatically I know the slope is 4, or a rate of change. Then we go to y-intercept. Where does it cross the y-axis? It crosses at 0, 16. Because it crosses right here, I want to take it off. I want to recheck it. It is correct. Now I find my x-intercept, which is my 0. So I'm going to find my x-intercept, which is -4, 0. So I'm going to go ahead and input -4, 0. So with this table, I'm going to go ahead and understand that, of course, the rate of change is 4, which it increases by 4. It's a positive slope. Y-intercept is 0, 16. Y-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, which is y equals 4x plus 16, and my 0 is -4, 0, or -4 as it being my 0, and my x-intercept is -4, 0. So that is how easy you do it as long as you understand the Desmos calculator. Let's go ahead and move on to number 2. Number 2, we have another table. Once again, we have to identify this, and of course, if you want to try it out by yourselves first, you can, and then pause the video and then try to see if you got the same answers. So once again, the week is the x, and of course, our balance is a y. So we're going to do the table again, and we're going to find the rate of change, y-intercept, slope-intercept form, and r0. So I'm going to get on my trusty Desmos, and I'm going to click the plus sign, and then I'm going to push table, and then of course, I'm going to put the week is 0. And then I'm going to go to the y value, and it is 24. Then I'm going to click on 1, and the corresponding value is 27. I'm going to click on x is 2, and my corresponding value is 30. And then I'm going to click on 3, and my corresponding value is 33. Next, I'm going to go ahead and add regression, which is this little leaf symbol. I'm going to add my regression. I get my equation right here. Y equals to 3x plus 24. So I have my y equals to 3x plus 24. I want to find my rate of change, which is another name for slope. My rate of change is a number next to a letter, which is the x. So it is a rate of change of 3. So it is increasing by 3. So it has a positive regression. Then I want to find my y-intercept. My y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis. It crosses the y-axis at 0, 24. So my y-intercept is 0, 24. And then, of course, my 0, I'm going to find out where it crosses the x-axis. And I'm going to click on the x-axis, and it is negative 8, 0. And, of course, I can write negative 8, because negative 8 is my 0. Negative 8, 0 is my x-intercept. So that is how easy it is to find the answer to the problems with finding decimals. So once again, it has a positive slope, and of course our balance increases. And if we want to really look at the correlation, this is a strong positive slope. And then of course this was also a strong positive slope. So looking at number 3. So number 3 doesn't really require us to do decimals. But you can if you want. If you want to learn how to multiply the number and the number. If you don't know what 3 times 6 is, which is 18, then you can go ahead and do that. But all you do is multiply 3 times 6, and it is 18. And then you have an m to the 5th, m to the 8th. That gives me m to the, you're going to add these exponents, 8 plus 5, which gives me 13. So once again, the answer is 18m to the 13. Because when you have the same base, you're going to add the exponents. When you have the numbers, you're going to just multiply normal, like 3 times 6. Number 4 is very similar. You do the same thing. I will do it in blue. You're going to multiply 4 times 6. 4 times 6 gives you 24. I'm going to keep the same base of n and m. And then I'm going to add the exponents, 3 plus 6, which gives me a 9. So it is 24m to the 9th. Very simple and very easy. Number 5, if you're given the following quadratic, which is 4, open parentheses, x plus 4, x minus 3, of course, quantity squares. We're going to find the vertex. We're going to find the minimum. Is it a minimum or a maximum? We're going to find the axis of symmetry. We're going to find the 0, and we're going to find the y-intercept. Another word for 0 is also you can label your x-intercept. So I'm going to go ahead and teach you how to input this equation into decimals. Do I have to put the y? No. If you want to, you can go right ahead. So you're going to put 4, open parentheses, x plus 4, close parentheses, open parentheses, x minus 3. So right there, I'm going to close the parentheses, and I'm going to expand it so I can really talk about every single point. So I'm going to look at this parabola, and it has a U shape. And we're going to go and find the vertex, which is a point, and we're going to click on it and find our vertex. So our vertex is negative 0.5 is our vertex, comma, negative 49. So that is our vertex for that quadratic. If you want to also discuss, is it a minimum or a maximum? This is actually a minimum because it's at the very bottom of the vertex. It's way on the floor, all the points are above, so this is a minimum. If I want to find the y-intercept, this is where the U shape crosses the y-axis, and it is 0, negative 48. And if we want to find our x-intercept or our zeros, all we have to do is scroll up and see if it clicks there. Yes, it does. 3, 0, and negative 4, 0. If I want to find the axis of symmetry, all I have to do is find the x value of my vertex, my x value of the vertex, and then I'm going to click this away, and I'm going to click that away. My x value of the vertex is negative 0.5, so my x value for the axis of symmetry is x equals to negative 0.5. So once again, I am going to shrink it, and then I'm going to answer all my questions. So looking at this parabola, I'm going to find my vertex. My vertex is negative 0.5, comma, and then I lost my point, negative 49. Now the other question is it a minimum or is it a maximum? It is a minimum because my vertex is at the very bottom, so it is a minimum. Then the trick to find axis of symmetry, I am going to circle the x, so it is x equals to a number. X equals to the vertex, x value, which is negative 0.5. So my axis of symmetry is x equals to negative 0.5. That is my axis of symmetry. Once again, why is it an axis of symmetry? Because it cuts my U shape in half in two equal pieces. I want to find my zero. Well, first of all, I want to find my y-intercept. So my y-intercept is where this graph crosses the y-axis. It crosses the y-axis at 0, negative 48. And then I want to find my zeros. I'm going to find out it has two zeros like we discussed before. I'm going to keep on scrolling up all the way up. And I see my two x-intercepts, one that is 3, 0, and the other one that is negative 4, 0. So I'm going to write it. It doesn't matter which order I put in it. So it is negative 4, 0. And then I'm going to put down 3, 0. So those are my x-intercepts. For my zeros, I can put negative 4 and 3. Those are my zeros. So that's how easy it is to find all those values given the Desmos graphing calculator. So now we're going to move on to question number 6. So take a look at question number 6. It's also a quadratic. I know you may be tempted to really put g of x into your graphing calculator, but don't do it. It's easier just to not put it in. So again, I'm going to get rid of this and I'm going to input my new equation. So my new equation is x squared, right here, minus 6x minus 7. So I'm going to find my U shape, x squared minus 6x minus 7, and I'm going to find my U shape. There it is. I'm going to first find my vertex. My vertex is 3, negative 16. Let me switch it to green. 3, negative 16. So is this a minimum or is it a maximum? This would be a minimum because it is at the very bottom. It's not at the top of the hill. I want to find my axis of symmetry. All I have to do is circle this x value, and I'm going to put x equals to the x value of the vertex. The x value of the vertex is 3. And then, of course, the 0 are my x-intercepts. My two zeros are negative 1, 0. And my next 0 is 7, 0. Those are my x-intercept points, so my zeros will actually be negative 1 and 7. If I want to find my y-intercept, where does this graph, the red, cross the y-axis, I'm going to click on it, and it is going to be 0, negative 7. And those are my given outcomes. So I have my vertex as being 3, negative 16, with the minimum of it being a minimum. Our axis of symmetry is x equals to 3, the x value of the vertex. The 0 is negative 1, 0, and positive 7, 0. The 0 is negative 1 and positive 7, and my y-intercept is 0, negative 7, because it crosses my y-axis at 0, negative 7. And all I have to do is hover over all these points, and I can get all the different points. So let's go on to something called an exponential. If you look at that, anytime that you do have an exponent, if you look at this, it is an x value. So I'm going to go ahead and erase it. If it has a tiny little x, then it's called an exponential graph. So I may want to put this in, this one right here. But once again, don't do it. All you have to do is input this one, and that is your exponent. So I'm going to go ahead and put this into Desmos, and I'm going to go ahead and input. I'm going to put 3, open parentheses, 2 divided by 3, close parentheses, and what did I do here? I have to go back, and I forgot to click right here. So I can click right here, or I can click this button right here, which is the arrow. Then I'm going to close my parentheses, and then I'm going to put quantity square, but this time it's not a quantity square, it is a quantity x. So I am going to find a to the b, and then I'm going to do the x, and that's my exponential function. I find it, and it's exponential. Why is it exponential? Because it increases quickly. It increases at a sudden rate. So the only thing I'm being asked to find is my y-intercept. All I have to do is hover over the y-axis, and my y-intercept is 0, 3. And that is my y-intercept. So I'm going to move right along to number 8. I'm also given one of those. So again, I'm going to delete this equation. I'm going to go ahead and input this equation into the graphing calculator. Once again, I see that it's an exponential because it's got a tiny little x. If it had a tiny little 2, then it would be a quadratic. And if it just has an x, a regular x, it would be a linear equation. But right now, I'm going to input just 3, open parentheses, 1 divided by 3. And don't forget to put my space after this. I can push the space right there, close parentheses. And then I'm going to do quantity to the x. So once again, how do I do that? I push this button. It raises my power, and then I put my x, and there it is. So I'm going to find my y-intercept, and it is 0, 3. And that right there is my y-intercept. So very easy, very straightforward. Let's go on to number 9. If we look at number 9, it is already in y equals mx plus b. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to rewrite it one more time. It's going to be y equals to mx plus b. And of course right here the m is my slope or my rate of change, and my b is my y-intercept. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put the equation the way it's given. You can put y equals, or I can put just 2x minus 4. I'm going to, in this equation, I am going to put y equals. So y equals to 2x minus 4. And there is my linear equation. So again, my rate of change is this number right here. My rate of change is 2. Or my slope is also 2. It is a positive, so we can see the line going up the hill. If I look at my 0 is my x-intercept. It is 2, 0. Or I can just say 2 as being my 0. My x-intercept is 2, 0. If I want to find my y-intercept, all I do is hover over that. I take the other one away. And my y-intercept is 0, negative 4. Very easy, very straightforward, just by inputting it into decimals. If I go to number 10, it is exactly the same. So again, if you want to try it by yourself, go ahead and try it. Pause the video, and then after that, let's see if we got the rate of change, the 0, and the y-intercept. So once again, I'm going to input this equation, and I'm not going to put the y equals. I'm just going to put 1/2 x. So I'm going to do 1 divided by 2. And then to get my x to the side, I'm going to go ahead and click right here, or I can also push this button right here. I'm going to put x, and then I'm going to put positive 2. And then that gives me my x-intercept as being negative 4, 0, which is my 0. My y-intercept is 0, 2. My rate of change, another word for rate of change, is called slope. And again, my slope or my y-intercept is this one. So my slope is 1/2. It is positive. And then of course, if I want to find my 0, all I have to do is find my x-intercept, and it is negative 4, 0. That's my x-intercept, so the 0 would be negative 4. And my y-intercept, I'm going to take that away, where it is across my y-axis at 0, 2. And that's my answer. My rate of change is 1/2, positive. It's going to go up. My 0 is negative 4, 0, or my so-called x-intercept, and my 0 will actually be negative 4. And my y-intercept is 0, 2. Very easy if you know how to use the decimals. Number 11, same thing. I'm going to go ahead and put this, and I know you would want to put the f of x, but don't worry about this. You don't have to worry about it. If you want to, you can put a y. There's no need to worry about the f of x. So I'm going to go ahead and input this into decimals, and look at this plus sign. I don't want to use this one. I just want to input it. I can either put y equals to x squared plus 6x plus 5, or I can just put the equation straightforward, x squared plus 6x plus 5. So the first question, what is the vertex? So going to the vertex at the very bottom, and it is -3, -4. Next question, is this a minimum or a maximum? Of course it is a minimum. What is my axis of symmetry? I'm going to circle my x, so I know x equals to the x value of the vertex, which is -3. So my axis of symmetry is -3. My 0, I'm going to find out where it crosses my x-intercept. It does have two zeros. It's got one right there, -5, 0, and -1, 0. So I have -5, 0. And -1, 0, which are my x-intercepts. My zeros are actually -5 and -1. If I want to find my y-intercept, all I have to do is hover where it crosses my y-axis. Going to take these away, and I'm going to go ahead and click on that, and that is 0, 5. 0, 5 is where it crosses my y-intercept. Once again, Desmos does all the work for us. If you want to try number 12, you can go ahead and try number 12. You can pause it if you want, and then after that, I'll go ahead and work it. So I'm going to go ahead and start working it, and then of course, remember that g of x is the same thing as writing y. So if your heart feels like, I want to write in y, you can go ahead and write in y. Don't push this button and don't push g of x. All you have to do is input this equation right here. So I'm going to go ahead and input it. I'm going to put 3, open parentheses, x plus 3, close parentheses, open parentheses, x minus 4, close parentheses, and I have my equation right there. I'm going to first find my vertex because, of course, that is the easiest one to find. It's the very bottom. Sometimes if you can't see it very well, you might want to enlarge your graph. So I'm going to go, and my vertex is 0.5, comma, -36.75. Now I got to say, is this a minimum or a maximum? It is at the bottom, the vertex, so it is a minimum. Now with the axis of symmetry, that's another easy one to find. You're going to put axis is x equals to, what is the x value of the vertex? The x value of the vertex right here is 0.5. So my axis of symmetry is 0.5. Next, I'm going to find my y-intercept. It is right there. I'm going to click out of the vertex. So my y-intercept is 0, -36. Why is it 0, -36? Because that's where my U-shape crosses my y-axis. And then I'm going to look at my graph and I'm going to find, okay, what is my x-intercepts? Well, my x-intercepts are here and here. So my x-intercepts are -3, 0 and 4, 0. And my 0, of course, would be -3 and 4. Or if you want to so call it, -3, 0 and 4, 0. So those are my x-intercepts and my zeros. So if I go to problem 13, you may want to put this equation in. You may want to, but it's not asking for you to graph this. You're not putting this in. What you're doing is you're saying that what is the value of f of -2? So I'm going to underline x is equal to, and the only work that I have to do here is that I got to understand that x is equal to -2. Why does x equal to -2? Inside parentheses is an x, so inside is -2. So wherever this is right here, you are going to put in -2. So all we're going to do is input this with a -2 in there and let Desmos do the work for us. So let's do it. 4, open parentheses, x is -2, -5, close parentheses, quantity square, so I'm going to raise it to the square, -3, and the answer is 193. It doesn't say find me the x-intercept, find me the y-intercept, find me the slope. It just tells me I want to evaluate f of -2. That's it. So all we're placing is in place of that. So we're going to do the next one, and again, if you want to pause it, try it out. And then after that, you can go ahead and unpause it and see if you got the right answer. So once again, the x value here is x equals to -1. That is the only work that we have to do. You just got to understand that x equals to -1. So in place of x, all we're going to do is input -1. And it's going to pop out our answer. And of course, Desmos does all the work for us. So I'm going to go ahead and put 3 open parentheses. And what is x? -1. So I'm just going to input -1 minus 4, close parentheses, quantity square, which is the a square, minus 7. And the answer is 68. So the function g of -1 is 68. And that is your answer. It's just evaluating the function. There's no need for you to input this equation because it is just plain and simple. Evaluate what the value of g of -1 is. So we're going to move right along to number 15. Given a g of x, we're going to look at 3x minus 6. You do know that that is a linear equation. That's going to form a line. We already have it in y equals mx plus b, so I'm going to do it in green. Remember, g of x is a fancy word of saying, or a fancy signal as it's just being y. So y equals to mx right here, mx plus b. So already I know my rate of change. My rate of change is 3 right away. And then how do I find my x-intercept? My x-intercept, all I'm going to do is graph it. And I'm going to go ahead and graph as 3x minus 6. And my graph is right there. My 0 is 2, 0. Or I can just say 2 is my 0. My x-intercept is 2, 0. My 0 is 2. I want to find my y-intercept. All I have to do is hover over the y-intercept right here. Unclick this one. And my y-intercept is 0, -6. That's where the line crosses the y-axis. And look at the last one. It's the same thing that we did before. They want to evaluate what g of -3 is. So right here, the only work that we have to do is we got to understand that x equals to -3. So all you're going to do in place of this x right here, and I'm going to put it in blue, instead of that x, all I'm going to do is input -3, and it's going to pop out an answer. So once again, all I'm going to do, put it in my graphing calculator, I'm going to do 3 times x. What is x right here? -3. 3 times -3. And then I inputted it wrong, so I need to come back and correct it. I didn't do multiply times -3. Because remember, 3 times -3 minus 6. And then I'm going to go minus 6. And the answer is -15. So the evaluation of this function is -15. And that is your answer. We're going to go ahead and look at 16. If you want to try it by yourselves, all 4 answers, and then try it, pause it, and then try to get the answer. If you don't know how to do it, then of course, then we'll see if we got it correct. So once again, it is given to us that f of x is equal to -4x minus 8. We already know our rate of change. Our rate of change is -4, so that's an easy one. Why? Because it's already in y equals mx plus b. So remember, if it's in this format, the m is the slope. So once again, I'm going to go ahead and input this equation into my graphing calculator, Desmos. So I'm going to go ahead and put -4 right here, x minus 8. And I have my x-intercept, which is my 0, -2, 0. So I'm going to write in -2, 0. And my 0 is actually -2. Then I'm going to find y-intercept. Where does it cross my y-axis? So I'm going to unclick that, and I'm going to click there. My y-intercept is 0, -8. And then the last one, there's really not much that you can do from the graph other than just figure out what f of -2 is. And technically you can just use the graph to get the answer, but once again, we're not going to use the graph. So all we're going to do is we're going to say x equals to -2. X equals to -2. So all we're going to do on Desmos is we're going to click it in, and we're going to put -4 right here. So we're going to put -4 times the x value. The x value is -2. So I'm going to do -2 minus 8. And that's going to give me a 0. And again, by looking at that, I can go on the line. If I say Desmos, x is negative 2. And I already took off the graph, but if I had the graph, I could just scroll on top until it reaches 0, x, and then of course you'll get your y value as it being negative 2. So once again, number 16, very easy and to the point. Let's go to 17. 17 is an interesting one. Given f of x is equal to 3x squared minus 3x minus 36, which of the following are factors? So once again, we got to understand that factors are if they're going to be passing one of the two x-intercepts. If they pass through exactly through the x-intercept, then it is a factor. If it doesn't pass straight through the x-intercept, then it's not a factor. So once again, we got to make sure that it does pass the x-intercept. Remember, those are zeros or x-intercepts. So let's try it out. So first of all, I am going to input this one right here. This one, I am going to input that equation into Desmos. So I'll give you a little bit of time to go ahead and input it into Desmos. So once again, all I'm going to do is I'm going to delete my work here from the previous equation. And I'm going to input this expression. And of course, you may be tempted to put f of x. Do not put f of x. There's no need to put it. I don't want to put it. So again, I'm just going to input the equation 3x squared minus 3x minus 36 gives me my U shape. I'm going to look at my x-intercepts. My x-intercept is 4, 0 and negative 3, 0. So the way I would handle this is I would input each one of these and then see which one passes through negative 3, 0. Remember, it has to pass straight through this dot or straight through this dot. If it passes straight through the dot, then it is a factor. So I'm going to input the first one. X minus 6. Is that one a factor? Does it pass through my x-intercept? It does not, so that one is not a factor. And what I would recommend is to leave it there and keep on inputting every single one of them, and then that way you can go back and check them if you need to check them. So I'm going to input the next one, 3x plus 9. That one, look at the red one. It passes straight through my x-intercept right there at negative 3, 0. So guess what? This one is a factor, and it is a factor. I'm going to input the third one. I'm going to go ahead and put x plus 5. Is that a factor? I'm going to take away this one. I'm going to click on it, so then that way I just deal with that. Does it pass through in any one of my x-intercepts? It does not. It almost passes, but it has to pass straight through that x-intercept. So this is not a factor. I want to check letter D. All I do is input that one into the next one. I just put x minus 4. And that is a factor. Why is it a factor? I'm going to take away this blue. And then I'm going to just work on the green. Passes straight through 4, 0. So D is a factor, so this one is a factor. And remember, I sometimes like to put in 3 answers, 2 answers, 1 answer, 0 answers, no answers. So again, we have to check every single one of them. I'm going to check the last one. And then I'm going to check x plus 3. And of course, x plus 3, guess what? X plus 3 is also a factor. Why? It crosses through this x-intercept. So once again, this purple crosses with this purple right through the x-intercept, so this one is a factor. So this one does have 3 answers. And of course, if you wanted to make sure that they all cross through the x-intercept, all you do is then click, doesn't pass, okay. Click, does pass, you can leave it alone. Doesn't pass. Does pass. We have those 3 factors. We can double check them, triple check them, but those are our 3 answers. Which of the following are factors? Do they pass through the x-intercept? Yes, they are factors. And then I'm going to do the last one. So again, if you want to try that one, pause it and then do the work on it to see which ones are factors. You can go ahead and pause it at this time. But let me go ahead and work straight through it. So then I'm going to input for x squared minus 12x minus 40. And there it is. There is my U shape. It is a minimum. Here are my two x-intercepts. Now I got to test every single one of these and find out which ones are factors, which are not. So I'm going to test the first one for x minus 20. Does it pass through my x-intercept? Yes, it does. So that red line passes straight through it. That is a factor. Now I'm going to test b to see if it is a factor. So I'm going to go ahead and click this one away. Put the new one. I'm going to go ahead and input x plus 4. Is it a factor? Does it cross through my x-intercept? No, it does not. It crosses through my u, but it doesn't cross through my x-intercept, so this one is not a factor. Then I'm going to leave it there, and then I'm going to input the next one. So I'm going to unclick this one, and then I'm going to unclick this one, x minus 3. Is that one a factor? No, it doesn't cross through my x-intercept, so this one is not a factor. I'm going to go ahead and input d, x minus 5. And it does pass straight through my x-intercept. So this one is a factor. And if we look at letter E, x plus 2, x plus 2, and I'm going to unclick this one, the purple one. X plus 2 is another factor. So once again, x plus 2 is a factor. So this one does have 3 factors. It has this one, and this one. So once again, if you want to test them out and make sure that they are all passing through my x-intercept, I can go ahead and click it. It does pass through my x-intercept and my u-shape. Where does it pass? Right here. Does it pass here? Yes, it does. And then I said letter A. Does it pass? The red one does. And then those are my 3 answers. And then I can unclick them if I want to. And then I could click the ones that are wrong. So do they pass through my x-intercept? Nope. Does that one pass through my x-intercept? Nope. So that is a correct answer. So again, that means that, guess what? We got the right one. So I'll go ahead and pause the video, and then that way we're going to do our last problems. They're going to be a little bit more complicated, and if you look at that, this one is simplifying an exponent. And then I'm going to transition to my whiteboard, so then that way I can go ahead and show you how to do this one. It kind of is a little complicated, but it becomes a little bit of easy because you're working with a power to power, and then you're working with also a fraction, and you are working with another imaginary 1. So I'm going to go ahead and unclick, and I'm going to go to my untitled whiteboard. I have our problem right here, number 1, so that's the same problem that we are working with, and I'm going to go ahead and clear my Desmos in case I need to do some math with the Desmos. So if you look at this problem, it's 1/3. It's a lot, but this is the way I would handle this one. I would put my imaginary 1s wherever they belong, so I'm going to put them in blue. Above the 6 you have a 1, above the y you have a 1, and above this 3 I have a 1, and then I have a 1 right there. So the way I would do this is this means multiplication right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just bring down the 1/3, and then I'm going to see here that I have a power raised to a power raised to a power. So this is actually 6 to the 2nd times x to the 4th, y to the 2nd. Close parentheses, and it's going to give me 3 to the 1st, x to the 4th, and y to the 5th. Close parentheses. And of course, why did I do that? I had to distribute the 2. 2 times 1 is 2. And right here. 2 times 2 is 4. And then 2 times 1 is, of course, 2. And that's a power raised to a power. Here, I could just say an imaginary 1 is the same thing. But if I want to really do it, I can go ahead and do it. So then, again, now I have a number, and a number. Nothing to do with the letters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to input that into Desmos, and I'm going to input it just the way it is. 1 divided by 3. And then I'm going to push this arrow times 6, and I don't even have to simplify it. I can go ahead and just raise it to the square times 3. So my answer for the numbers is 36. So this takes care of this, and this. Next, I'm going to look at my x's. I have this one times this one. So then I'm going to keep my base, and then I'm going to add my exponents because I am multiplying. So 4 plus 4 gives me 8. And then I have this one and this one. So I'm going to keep the base of y, and I'm going to add my exponents. 5 plus 2 is 7. So that is my final answer. 36, x to the 8th, and y to the 7th. It kind of looks complicated, but you let the decimals take care of the fractions, and then you do the rest with the rules that we learned for exponents. So the next one we have is this one. So let me go ahead and shrink it a little. And if you want to try it out by yourself, you can go ahead and try it out. See if you get the right answer before I do the work. And I'm going to clear my decimals. So first step, I'm going to go ahead with black. I'm going to put my imaginary 1. So my 1 becomes right. My 1 is right there. My 1 is right there. Excuse this 1. I'm going to have to fix it up. It is a 1 right there. Is there any other 1? I could put a 1 there if I want, so I can do a power raised to a power. Right here, I would just bring down this, so it would be just bringing down 1/4 times open parentheses. Here I'm going to do a power raised to a power, so it is 8 to the 2nd. And then with the blue, I'm going to do a power raised to a power right here, so it is x to the 6th. And then of course a power raised to a power, which is y to the 4th. All open parentheses, close parentheses. And then here 1 times 1 is 1, 4 to the 1st, x to the 3rd, and y to the 3rd, close parentheses. So if I look at that right there, I have something that is super easy. So now I have the numbers, and I'm going to go ahead and do this number, and this number, and then all I have to do is input it into my decimals. So I'm going to shrink it down a little right there, and then I'm going to go ahead and input it into my decimals. So I'm going to do 1 divided by 4. I'm going to click this arrow, or I can click right here, and then I'm going to multiply. Don't forget the multiplication, 8 to the square. And then I'm going to multiply times 4 to the 1st, which is the same thing as 4. And so my answer is 64. So my number here, here, and here is 64. And did I have to do anything? No, I didn't have to do much of anything. Then I'm going to keep the x, and I'm going to keep the x, and then I'm going to add my exponents, because remember, you keep the x and you add the exponents. X to the 6th plus x to the 3rd is x to the 9th, and then y, I'm going to keep the y here. I'm going to add the exponents right here, y to the 7th. So my answer is 64, x to the 9th, y to the 7th. So that concludes our board review, calculator skills, whatever you want to call it. And once again, go through the video. I would recommend to do listen to one problem and then do the other one as practice. Listen to one problem, do the other one as practice. So I hope this has taught you a little bit about such a vast variety of Algebra 1 techniques. Once again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out at any time. Thank you. Have an amazing day.